In the Indian Ocean, over 1,000 miles from the southeastern coast of Africa, is the gorgeous island of Mauritius. With wonderful sandy beaches, coral reefs, forested mountains, and beautiful national parks and gardens, there is much to see and do on a vacation here. Mauritius was uninhabited by humans until the Arabs landed there in the Middle Ages. They called the island Dine Arabi. The Portuguese came next, calling the island Sine, neither stayed. The Dutch Republic established a colony in 1638, naming it after the Prince Maurice van Nassau. This colony lasted until abandoned in 1710. 5 years later, the island became a French colony named Isle de France due to its strategic position. The island was known as the Star and Key of the Indian Ocean, as the importance based on the trade routes from Europe to the east before the opening of the Suez Canal. It was fought over by the French and British during the Napoleonic years. Though the French won the naval battle of Grand Port, the British forced the surrender of the island 3 months later in December 1810. The French settlers were allowed to keep their land, French laws. French language and French laws until British rule. Mauritius became the empire's main sugar producing colony. When slavery was abolished by Parliament in 1835, the planters received compensation for their African slaves. The planters then brought in a large number of indentured laborers from India to work the sugarcane fields, as well as almost 9,000 Indian soldiers. In 1872, two lawyers were sent from England to form a royal commission. They recommended measures that positively affected the lives of those Indo-Mauritian laborers over the next 50 years. Mahatma Gandhi visited the island in November of 1901 and encouraged these workers to become more active in issues affecting their well-being. Universal adult suffrage was instituted in March 1959. The country became an independent state in March 1968 and member of Commonwealth of Nations in 1992. The Republic of Mauritius is composed of that island is as well Rodriguez, Agalega and the Saint Brendan archipelago. Mauritius itself is encircled by a broken ring of mountain ranges composed of extinct volcanoes, streams, waterfalls and rivers, all covered in forests. Its surrounding lagoons are protected from the open sea by the world's third largest coral reef, which surrounds the island. These reefs protect beach goers from attacks by sharks and jellyfish. There are 93 miles of white sandy beaches on Mauritius. The warmest months are January and February. The coolest months are July and August. The best months to visit are from May through December. Several tropical cyclones generally hit the island between January to March annually. Prevailing trade winds keep the eastern side of the island cooler and cause more rainfall there than elsewhere on the island. Only 2% of their natural habitat remains, so many of the 700 species of indigenous Mauritius plants are threatened with extinction. Introduced plants and animals compete and destroy their seedlings and fruit. Through the Mauritius Wildlife Fund, the island has worked hard to become an international standard for the protection of endangered species and natural resources. Some of the world's rarest birds are here, including the pink pigeon. Before the arrival of Portuguese in 1507, the absence of terrestrial animals on the island allowed for the evolution of flightless birds and large reptiles and Mauritius, such as the 4 million-year-old relative of the pigeon called the dodo. The 50-pound dodo had no predators to attack them, and gradually they lost their need to fly. As Mauritius became a stopover for sailors and their ships on the spice trade route, the dodo provided much appreciation fresh meat for the men on their layover. When the Dutch settled on the island, their ships brought rats, pigs, and monkeys to the land. These animals hunted and ate the dodo's eggs from their ground nests. Eating the eggs and the adults significantly reduced the dodo population. Within 100 years of the arrival of man, the once plentiful dodo became a rare bird. The last one was killed in 1681. Today it is the national bird of the country, even though it is extinct. Mauritius has the highest population density of any African country. The multi-ethnic population features Indian, African, European, predominantly French, and Chinese people. French and English are both spoken here, but the mother tongue of the most of the islanders is Creole, a patois of French. Though many of the people look and dress like Indians, they don't speak the language. Mauritius is the only country in Africa where Hinduism is the dominant religion. However, sugar and tea exports are the mainstays of the economy, with tourism second. Mauritius received the World Leading Island Destination Award 3 times this decade. Plans are underway with assistance from India and Japan to revitalize the island's fishing industry.